All right, guys, let's play pretend for a minute. Let's pretend that the disciple Matthew is the one who actually wrote the Gospel of Matthew. Let's say he followed Jesus. Let's say he was there for his ministry. Even if all that is true, there is still a major problem when it comes to him being an eyewitness. Even if Matthew is a supposed eyewitness, he's still writing decades later and recording events that he could not have possibly witnessed. First problem, Matthew was not there at the birth of Jesus, and yet he gives us this detailed nativity scene. Could the source for the nativity scene be Mary? Sure, but if Mary is the source for Matthew, then that means she definitely can't be the source for Luke, since they say different things about the birth of Jesus. Either way, Matthew was not there. Second problem, Matthew in chapter 2 reports on a private meeting between Herod and the priests and scribes. The only people in that room were Herod and a bunch of religious leaders that hated Jesus. Matthew from Galilee could not have witnessed this secret meeting between Herod and these religious leaders. And yet he writes about this with confidence. He even knows the Old Testament prophecy that the religious leaders were telling Herod. But these are secondhand traditions written decades later, shaped to sound like the story of Moses. Third problem, Matthew was not inside Pilate's headquarters. Roman trials happened behind closed doors. Yet Matthew reports private political conversations. He even reports Pilate's inner thoughts. He reports a dream from Pilate's wife. These are scenes Matthew would not have had access to, especially decades after the fact. Fourth problem, Matthew reports a secret meeting between the Jewish council. Once again, he knows what this council said in private. He knows what the priests said in private. He knows they bribed guards. He knows their motives. And he also somehow knows their caution about wanting to capture and kill Jesus without starting a riot. Matthew was not there. This is not eyewitness testimony. This is storytelling. Fifth problems. Matthew reports the private prayer of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. The gospel itself says that the disciples fell asleep. They did not hear a word. Yet Matthew still gives you the prayer. If Matthew wrote this as an eyewitness, he is giving you the details of an event that happened while he was asleep. Sixth problem. Matthew narrates the resurrection moment. He tells you about an earthquake. He tells you about an angel descending. He tells you about a guard collapsing in fear, but no disciple was there. The women arrive after it happens. Matthew is describing an event that literally had no human witnesses. Seventh problem, Matthew was not on the mountain during the transfiguration. Only Peter, James, and John. Yet Matthew still gives the full vision. Jesus shining, Moses and Elijah coming down, a voice from a cloud. Matthew writes it down as if he's there, but he isn't. If we put all this together, even in the most generous scenario where Matthew really did follow Jesus, the gospel still reads like someone filling in the gaps with tradition, community stories, and large chunks of